All right, I locked myself in this room until I shipped a new feature for my productivity app. It took 13 days, 10 PRs, 167 commits, and a lot of prompting. And along the way, I got a lot better at working with AI effectively. So I want to share with you my notes, specifically a mental model that guides how I work with AI now, in addition to 10 nitty-gritty steps, practices that I take. And along the way, I'll be demoing the feature so you can see what I built and how it came to life. So let's do it. All right, first, the mental model. I think this is the best sauce I got in this video, so I want to give it to you right away so you don't forget it. It's this: you're the chef, AI is the line cook. What's that mean? Both helping create food, but they have very distinct but also complementary roles. So the chef owns the quality, like they adjust the seasoning, the presentation, they're making sure like nothing actually leaves the kitchen that doesn't meet the restaurant standard. While the line cook handles the nitty-gritty stuff, the food prep. They follow the recipes and they work fast so the chef can focus on higher level thinking. This is the kind of dynamic you want with AI right now. So you're responsible for the vision. What problem are we solving? Is that the right path to take to solve that problem? The conventions or the production standard. So is it consistent with the rest of the code base? Is it buggy? Will it actually work after a week? And then finally QA, so running the code, checking edge cases, making sure it actually solves the problem, understanding it. While the AI is responsible for implementation speed, so they write the boilerplate, the first draft of the test and the implementation. They follow your recipe, which means they take the spec or the requirements and turn that into code while preserving your conventions. And then they give you feedback. So they can catch obvious bugs, suggest improvements, let you know about libraries or techniques that you might not know about yet. So that's the relationship. You both need to understand each other's work to collaborate well. So just like how the chef needs to know like how to prep ingredients, and the line cook needs to understand like how a dish comes together and what it should look like. But it's a little different with you guys, and this is critical. You got to resist the temptation to do each other's jobs. So don't micromanage every line of code that the AI writes. You gotta trust it to execute, but you gotta release your responsibility a little bit to let it actually make the solutions, but not so much that you're not even looking at the code, because then you stop becoming the chef and you start becoming a food runner. And as someone who was a food runner, trust me, it's not the job that you want anymore. You want to stay as the chef. So that was the mental model. Now I'm going to show you the actual workflow that I take that demonstrates how that model plays out and how these handoffs show up. So this is the whole thing. I'm just sharing a screenshot so you could pause it if you want. I think you'll know this development workflow, but it's nice to just see visually the handoffs and the kind of areas where you are really taking the active role, and when in the whole development cycle you can step back a bit. So this is the whole workflow I took with this new feature I'm going to show you, and it's working really well. Now, that's enough theory. Let's get into some clips where you can see this process in action. So tip number 1 on how to vibe code better. Give yourself permission to prototype in a separate repo or project, so you can just surrender fully to the power of the vibes and focus solely on UX. This is like giving you permission to disregard a little bit of the chef line cook dynamic so that you can just fully vibe code temporarily while you get it out there. You can also publish it to show it with other people and not have to worry about the interactions with the database and other services and security. You can do it in a way where it's safe and it just shows the UX, so that you can just look at the code, reference it, and then bring it back into production as a separate, more refined chef line cook type of PR. I did that with a lot of success in this feature. I shipped it to a live site. I sent the link to people. I got feedback really quick, and it felt really good to vibe code. It felt really good. And I didn't feel guilty about doing it because I knew I wouldn't keep it in that state, and that helped me go really quick. The second tip is to give up quickly. I think I explained this pretty well in the clip itself, so let's roll that. Okay, it's 12:40 a.m. on a Friday, and I finally got this PR in a good spot. I want to show it off. So this is kind of the functionality that I've been working on, and this PR is the 3rd or 4th in this epic of that task list. As you can see, I put it all in today so that it's easy to add the requests and the global state management Right now it's all local storage, no requests, and it's local state, which I'll show you in a little sec. But I've set it up by components and broken out a lot of components from a couple that were really bloated. And then I have context for the hooks, and then the hooks are here. The main ones are having some for actions, which is like the brains of everything. The effects, which are just the things that run in the background, and then these are just like setting up the basics that you need. So you'll be familiar with this if you come from a global state background, and I'm just calling it out now because I don't need to do this in this PR. In fact, it was already basically working, what I'm about to show you functionality wise, before this massive PR. However, this was the previous version. You'll see it's a mix of hooks. It's got a component that's rendering other components, that has a SVG in it. It's kind of just hard to know what's going on. Like, I prompted this, I read it before, and then I took a couple weeks working on other code. I came back to this, I'm like, I don't know what's going on. What I found with vibe coding and prompting is that if it doesn't get me 80 or 90% there in the first couple prompts, I'm scrapping it. If it's only getting me 60% there and I have to do the last 40, trying to do the last 40 while prompting it is a lot harder than just going from 0 to 80 manually when it comes to like setting up a lot of files and having it structured in a certain way that's opinionated. And I got it to like 60 prompting right away, and I spent a couple hours just fighting with it until I was like, no, I'm just gonna start over. Lesson learned. That's happened again and again, and I think it's gonna continue to happen when you're setting things up for the first time. Anyway, let me show you what it does. This is all with my keys. I'm not touching the mouse at all. Here, I'm putting this away, okay? Here we go. Okay, that was a good amount. So I was checking, I was moving it around, I was focusing. Yeah, kind of cool. I mean, this is, I like this a lot, man. Making a to-do app is like the first thing you do when you're coding, and then you do a bunch of things. And now I'm coming back to making a mini to-do app in my other app, and making it keyboard driven has been really fun. Yeah, man. I'm stoked about this. I'm stoked to release this. It's been fun coding it the last couple of days. Anyway, that's my thoughts behind it. Let's get on with the vlog. The third tip on how to vibe code better is to minimize the layers of the stack that you're changing in each commit. And this applies to just regular software engineering too, but you don't want to do commits that are making changes to a schema, to an API route, to the fetching calls and the components all in one commit. It's better to keep things separate. Test it separately, make sure it works separately, and then slowly bring it all together and integrate it. Fourth, favor more files over big files. So here's the pushback. I can hear the pushback. It's too complicated. It's too hard to read. Well, you're not introducing new complexity to the code base by creating new files and separating things out further. You're just making the existing complexity more apparent. Here's a screenshot of what I suggest. So instead of doing a giant file called dashboard, you split it up, and you do have a dashboard that's the entry point that imports all those other smaller components. But each of those components do a separate thing. They might have their own side effects, their own data access, whatever. And you want to test that separately. This is going to help with the AI so it doesn't go crazy. I know so many of them just blow up a single file, and it's so hard to maintain, and you don't really understand how deep you're getting in terms of tech debt until it's too late. So I try to stay far away from that, which is why in this clip I'm setting up the files like as one of the first things I'm doing, and I'm telling it to not F around and squeeze it all in one file. Here's that clip. Okay, so here's what it looks like right now on the Compass app, and then here is what I have already deployed at a different URL. So there's more functionality here, and I've sort of proved the concept out in isolation, but this is like a simple app. more of a prototype, and then this is part of the full on calendar here. And this here is the first or second, actually the third PR right now, and I'm gonna merge it soon. But what I want to show you is it's massive already. It's 40 files, and it's a lot of wiring up things, it's a lot of creating files, it's a lot of tweaking things. But I'm trying to find the balance between vibe coding and then production coding. And what I'm landing on right now, at least, is I built a prototype over in this other repo, completely vibes, didn't really look at the code much at all. And then in this repo, I initially tried to just like import this and tell Codex or Cursor to like, hey, like wire it up with all my stuff in the other repo, and it didn't get very far. Got maybe 20-30% of the way there. And now I am trying to just keep it contained, so it's in this today directory and all the components are in there, and I'm just using local storage. I'm trying to make it as simple as possible. I'm not hooking it up to my Redux store, which is the global store that would affect all these other places. I'm just keeping it here. I'm going to keep moving, chipping away at it, and then once I have the tests, which is another thing I should mention, I'm trying to add a test for every file just about that kind of does anything on its own. I still have a little ways to go, but I didn't have any other tests in the prototype. What this is forcing me to do is go slower, but decouple a lot of the things that were all in one file, I've noticed, in things like, well, I don't know, like any LLM, like V0, I'm sure Lovable and these other ones will just plop it all in one directory or one file, and that can only get you so far. So I'm trying to break it out sooner, test them in their individual parts, keep chipping away, keep the tests evergreen and like actually functional. So here you see I'm clicking based on the button. There's no like test ID or sneaky tricks to make the test pass. Like this is going to be evergreen for when I do refactor it and hook it into the rest of the app. The trade-off with this is, yeah, it's just going to take more PRs. It's going to be a little slower, but this is giving me a little more confidence. In addition to the flag I put in here, let's see if I go to the main one. I added this button for early access, and then you have to add this flag or toggle this, and then I can control per user who even sees this. So right now it's just me who does this, and that means that when I go to this route I can see this, which gives me confidence to ship something that isn't fully complete with knowing that, you know, no one else is going to see it. A little slower, but more reliable. Still giving me the dopamine of moving forward and feeling good about it. So let's get back to it. 5, resist the temptation to multitask. You can spawn off 3 different tasks at the same time. You can do Git work trees. You can do multiple projects at the same time. But honestly, it doesn't work. Like, we're the bottleneck. We're not meant to work like that. Even switching between coding and like doing an email, I find isn't great because there is a lag between when the AI is done and when you get back to it, and you have to get your mental state back into the problem. That's not worth it. I am just doing a lot better by like standing up, getting some steps in, stretching, walking, or I'll jot something down in my notebook really quick and kind of just glance at the terminal while it's up there and know right when it's done so I can jump back into it. 6, use the best tool for the job. So for prototyping, I think V0 is really great. I'm sure Lovable and Bolt and these other ones are great. I'm just very familiar with V0 because they're good with Tailwind and Next.js and React, which is the stack I'm using now. So I've been throwing a lot more at this guy. I just prompted it to like add 3 features at once. And look, it's got a legit plan for those 3. I started in V0, and that got me pretty far, and I feel like they have good design sense, and it's a good first step. But when I started throwing a lot at V0, after I got to like version 20 or so, it started falling apart, and the context wasn't working. So they stopped letting you download files by file, so I copy pasted it, put it into a new repo using Codex to do what it's doing now. Then I uploaded it to GitHub, and then I created a new project in Vercel. What I'm saying is I'm kind of hacking things together and trying to use the best tool for the job, and
seems to be working pretty well.
So it's great to get a good design sense from them to get it going. But if you go long enough with them, they'll put it all into a giant file, and then you're stuck with the problem I talked about. So I'll stick with them until it's looking good, and then I'll take it out and move it into my local LLM stack, Claude or Codex or Copilot or Cursor, and then I'll work with it from there. And then finally for reviews, Copilot's the best. Okay, it's Saturday at 6:50 p.m. Finally getting ready to merge this, and Copilot absolutely is roasting me today. 39 conversation pieces that started, 39 little suggestions that were pretty much all valid. It feels like I'm an intern and the senior engineer is just like, yo, you gotta fix a lot of stuff. And it's like, man, what a time. I don't even need, it's like having an on-demand teammate to give you pretty decent feedback is pretty cool. Just because it's integrated, I have like a build pipeline set up where it just does it automatically. Hold on, we gotta get our code back here. Okay, we're back. So Copilot's the best for PR reviews just because it's integrated. 7. So a lot of these LLMs have plan mode, as you know, where you can toggle it and tell it to create a spec for you, which is great. However, it'll often not mention tests, and then it'll write the whole thing, and then you'll have to remember, hey, I gotta write some tests. But then it's got that bloated file, or there are other issues, and testing it afterwards is just a lot trickier. So I like to make sure it explains what things it's going to test, how it's going to test it, what are the test file names, and set up some local rules to do that. So I like to have a component per file and then a test for every component, for example. Or if there's a utility file, I'll test the utilities as just like standalone functions. You'll figure it out, but just take my word for it. It's easier to set those up sooner than later. This might be my favorite one. 8, Descope. You don't have to do the whole feature in one PR. We already know you don't have to do it in one commit, but you can also just cut a lot out. And I got really good at doing that in this feature, and I don't regret it, even though it does hardly anything compared to the whole idea in my head about what it could do. I got it out there really quick because I descoped. So let me show you. Okay, midnight exactly on Wednesday, October 22nd. Actually, this is kind of fun. You can see it's Tuesday, October 21. Right now it's midnight exactly. So we do have a bug where it's not optimistically checking and updating the dates. It has to do a re-render. So I bet if I re-render this page, it'll be Wednesday. So you see the events are showing up. We got the all-day event. It's kind of cut off here. There we go. All-day events up there. Regular events down here. Scroll container. The events aren't editable. If you hover it, you get the time and the label. I actually descoped a lot from this. So let's look at this guy. The styles could be better. The shortcuts to reschedule events would be nice. Like you can do that on the week view, but not on this view. Be nice to right click and delete it, or delete it with a shortcut, or create an event or edit it, like keeping it in sync. There's a lot to be done here still, but this is like a functional working version of the idea of you add your tasks and you can see your events. Oh, look at that loading skeleton too, by the way. That's kind of cool. So yeah, tasks and events for the day right here, same spot. Yeah, man, I'm stoked to ship this, boy. I am stoked. Number 9 is using feature flags. This helps with descoping. It also helps with shipping it early. Feature flags it's just like a true or false, a Boolean about whether someone can see a certain feature or not. and you can start out while just letting yourself, the developer, see it locally, or your user in the production app see it, and then slowly add more people to it. So it's a way to ship incomplete features to prod while not breaking prod, and then as it gets a little more stable, you can open it up to opt in to beta users, which is what I did with PostHog, which is an analytics software. They come with a feature flag feature for you, make it a little easier, but basically there's a little UI that pops up with some toggle switches, and the user can say, yes, I want to have the beta features, or no, I don't. And if they do check that, then they can see more things in the app, and that's been working out really well. Finally, last tip, eliminate the number of chairs you have around. Hold on and watch. Game changer. You might be able to see, cursors cooking behind me, and while I'm waiting, one of the things I noticed that's interesting about this place is because my friend's kind of like moving out, this is the only place to sit. There was a couch or a futon here, but now it's just a mat. And then I'm sure there were bar stools, but now they're gone. And it's kind of a crazy hack because I have found myself kind of wandering and wanting to do something, and then just sat my butt down here and gotten back to work. I know I would be sitting on this couch kind of lounging and doing some of this action, or I'd be tempted to. Now it's not even an option. Think about it. Okay, so I'm kind of kidding with that one, but you get the idea. So this is all near and dear to me because I'm in a race against the clock. I have a goal. We have a goal of getting profitable with this app before the end of 2025, and we currently do not even have a paid tier. We're just focused on making it better. So we have our work cut out for us, and we really have to nail how we work with AI so that we can ship quickly in quality code and get there. So some days I'm terrified, some days I'm stoked about this goal, but I'm not going to give up. We got a couple months left. If that's exciting to you and you want to learn more, maybe check out this video that's showing on your screen right now. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Good luck coding. I'll see you in the next one.